What's up, y'all? What's good? What's sizzling? It is your favorite straight creative, Sholay, signing in for another video. Welcome back. How y'all doing? Thank you so much for the support over my last video. Honestly, I am seeing the engagement, I'm seeing the comments, I'm seeing the shares. Honestly, thank you, and more to come. More to come, as you guys can obviously see. And thank you also for engaging with my Instagram over the challenges I'm doing before each and every video now. So essentially, I go ahead and post a thumbnail and you have to guess the topic, or I go ahead and post a little video and you have to guess the sound underneath. And once you are able to DM me the correct answer of the song I used or the topic in the thumbnail, you get a chance to win some money from moi. It could be $20, $50, $100, as God willingly opens my pockets of grace and wealth. I will be giving back to you guys as you guys support me and have helped me all throughout this way. So thank you. And be sure to put on your post notifications on for the next challenge that I have, because who knows, I might just increase the stakes. So be sure to look out for that. I'll be holding a community outreach event called Operation Care for the Homeless in downtown Edmonton on April 1st, 2023. So please be sure to check the description bar down below if you want to go ahead and volunteer, help out with the behind the scenes stuff. And essentially on that day, we're going to go ahead and give out care packages and sandwiches, food essentially to the homeless, and be able to have a fun time helping the community and gathering together as one body. If you would like to donate any type of money at all, please be sure to check out my PayPal and put in the description on what exactly you are donating for and what you want the money to go into when it comes to this event. And God bless you as you go ahead and fill out the volunteer forms and also give money to the homeless. It is no secret how one's beliefs and values go ahead to affect their worldview. And when it comes to Christianity and the church as a whole, let's just say there's a lot of opinions. Lots and lots of opinions that are not so great. But the funny thing is, it wasn't always like this. The church was seen as the pinnacle of wisdom and true divinity on earth for us all to follow and live by. To now where the church has gone through decades of scrutiny and judgment for their practices, and Christianity that was once likened to being the lifestyle to enhance your life and bring forth freedom, grace, and redemption, is reduced to a state of mockery for those who don't fully understand its meaning and its essence, and essentially is now a cash cow for those who want a redemption arc or who want people speaking about them to create some kind of publicity. And the best way to do it nowadays is to piss off the church. Am I right? Or am I wrong? See, I've always wondered how we got to the spot in our society where things of old, when it comes to religious practices and traditions that were held with so much reverence, are now just mere commodities to most people, especially in the church, and most specifically Christianity. And that is how I got to my topic of conversation, the downfall of Christianity. Who's to blame? Honestly, I don't know, but hopefully we can discover together. From the early times of the Renaissance, the Catholic Church was seen as one of the highest forms of governance in society. Over time, people within the church started to see the discrepancies that were forthcoming from the clergy, the people who were leading the church. They started to see their unholy practices and how they were leading the church astray. It became obvious to the people that the religious leaders were given so much reverence, power, and honor and respect that they didn't really deserve. They had the ability to steer society in the ways that they saw was fit. And it ended up leading to the detriment of the people in the long run. That's why we see for so many years, for centuries even, there wasn't a true revolt against the church because they were steering the minds of people for so long. They were manipulating people in our society back then on how to think, on how to go about their jobs, how to go about their money, how to raise their children, how to go about their own personal lives. And people were so blind to it that something needed to change. In some cases in history, we see the church being tools in the hands of politicians. It could be from the exchange of plots of land or going ahead to barter some kind of goods just to get the church on their side. And just like that, the higher ups, the clergy, the religious leaders would speak to the people on how they should go ahead and vote, or how they should go ahead and listen to certain lines of thinking or thoughts from a specific politician. And they could even go as far as saying that if you don't vote for this specific person, or if you don't go ahead and understand what this politician is saying in order for you to follow them, you could be damned for all of eternity. Like that's fear-mongering at its peak, to be honest. A new form of Christianity started to come up when people started to question the line of thinking and the traditions that were being held in the church. And this is thanks to a man named Martin Luther, who was a monk that really went into detail in understanding Christianity. Gradually, we began to see a shift away from the Catholic Church, and new churches started to come up with names like the Lutheran Church or the New Reformed Church, as people were going ahead to understand the foundational practices of Christianity and understanding why they are the way they are, and if we as a people should adhere or discard these practices. But let's make it clear, all these new churches were not spirit-led. For instance, the Church of England was created when King Henry VIII wanted to divorce his wife, but the Catholic Church said no. So this man literally created a new church that would allow him to divorce his wife because of the simple fact of his wife not being able to bear a son for him. Like, be so for real. Are you, like, it's already mad in itself for not understanding that she doesn't control the sex of your child. Clearly, education was not his strong suit, because clearly he saw how the Protestant Reformation came about in the 1500s and was so determined to move away from the Catholic Church. Around the late 1700s and early 1800s, there was a French Revolution where the churches were suppressed and the Catholic monarch was completely destroyed. And this resulted in 30,000 priests being banished and hundreds were killed. This revolt against the church trickled into the 1900s, and the persecution against Christians became more apparent all over the world. In places like Albania, where the clergy and believers were stripped of their titles, tried, imprisoned, and persecuted, their meeting grounds turned into basketball courts, movie theaters, and dance halls. People in that country with their religious beliefs were not supported by the government, and in turn were tortured, imprisoned, and later killed well into 1991. In Iraq, the Saddam Hussein government persecuted the Christians on an ethnic, cultural, and racial level in 1987. And in the States, the birth of the Ku Klux Klan was founded in 1915 and later came about in the 1920s that went ahead to persecute Catholics in both the US and Canada. Persecution has modernized itself, as it's not always burning down the church or going ahead to persecute believers. But now you could say it's like saying disrespectful comments or mocking Christianity when people are simply just trying to preach the gospel. This kind of persecution can be studied over the last 100 years in our favorite melting pot, the one, the only United States of America. The governance at one point in time was based on Christian morals and values, but took concepts and drove them straight into the ground, so much so that people believe that religion has no place in government and is restricting to other people's belief system. Let's quickly glance at how this affects different facets in our society. And I think this could even be boiled down to three main agendas that we see today. There's one agenda where a specific artist or a content creator or someone who just works in the creative field go ahead and tell a story by pulling certain religious/church symbolism in such a way that tells a story for the person viewing it. And it could be seen as art, but to others, it could be seen as mockery, disrespect. And I can go ahead and sympathize with the specific person going ahead to make this content, as we all pull inspiration from our environments and from our upbringing and the things around us in general. And for many, they were raised in the church. So it's really easy to go ahead and rely on something that's already accustomed to you. However, you lose a sense of sacredcy. You don't go ahead to really explain the concept in its entirety. So it ends up just seeming fake deep. It ends up just seeming like there's no true significance to what you're trying to represent. So those who actually practice the religion seriously or practice that kind of lifestyle seriously can see it as a form of disrespect. A second agenda that is definitively seen in our society is the redemption arc, where someone has done things that have been relatively questionable in their past and want to receive some kind of forgiveness, want to be in the good graces of people that obviously are told to go ahead and give respect and grace and forgiveness to the people who ask for it, but it could be reduced as a marketing tool, a cash cow. Honestly speaking, I feel bad for Black Christians falling into this loophole when it comes to their favorite artist, as it would look like they would make a song or an album that seems to be God-breathed, and have a new changed reform identity, but in all actuality, they're just trying to get in people's good graces. They are just trying to make money off of the church because they know that once the church is in, the money and the dollars start flooding in, Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. And the last agenda I think we can quickly touch on is blatant mockery. Blatant mockery, meaning that they're not going ahead to just be misinterpreted or misconstrued. It's simply just them trying to piss off people so they can get money, so they can get people talking, because any publicity is good publicity. As long as you get people talking about you, you can be making a serious bank. And that's why I think people in this category do the most. I mean, with the first one, you can easily go ahead and not understand the intent of the creator and not understand what they're trying to do. And then with further explanation, you can kind of get their true picture. But this one is just I'm actually just trying to do things to rattle up the church, to get them talking about things. Because once you rattle up the church, everybody's talking about it. I see society in this fast track information gobbling mindset where we get to ingest everything and anything in our environment. And the minute we don't fully understand it, we disrespect it, we disregard it, and deem it as worthless or meaningless in the grand scheme of things. So when it comes to religious traditions and practices, it's as though they're just up for display nowadays. People are not really taking their time to understand it, number one, or they're not real people out here who understand the true concepts behind them. So it's just there as art for everyone to see. But what is the point of art if you don't understand the meaning behind it? I would say this in relation to how Christian concepts from the Bible are not taken into a secular conversation when it comes to relationships, how we go about our finances, and how we treat everyday people. For instance, my favorite convo starter, submission. Why are we talking about submission when you don't even know how to pray? When's the last time you spoke to God? Respectfully, when's the last time you spoke to God? When's the last time you woke up in the middle of the night praying against strongholds in your family and breaking generational curses, but you want to be talking about how a woman should submit to you? Do you know that in order for submission to work, you need to lay down your life like how Christ laid down his life for the church? Respectfully, I'm not submitting to a godless man. I'm not submitting to a worldly man. I don't know. I just had to put my 2 cents on that. And let's not forget the false teachings about tithing and offering and everything like that. How you want people to come to your church and go ahead and give 10% of what they already don't have when they see you on the pulpit with Yeezys on your feet, off-white sweaters, and a whole rollie on your wrist. Be so for real right now. Be so for real. I honestly would say that when it comes to the whole tithing and offering thing, I think the church needs to be criticized for that. I'm just saying, because I think that whatever you give to God, God honors it. He honors your heart. He's not honoring how much you have. He's honoring your intent. Yeah? You going ahead to give to God when he already knows that you don't have much and everything like that? Unless you've been led by God to give 10% and you feel like within your spirit God is asking you to give this money and everything like that, then I honestly think that you shouldn't be judged for not giving. I can't blame people if they don't want to give back to the church when they don't see what the church is doing with the funds that is going into the church. To be quite frank with you, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the church should go ahead and utilize the funds that are going into the church to serve the community and serve the church that serves them with their money, with their tithes. Hey, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Shola, you're doing your humanitarian thing again. No, I feel like the church is called to serve the people. That's what Christ did when he came, right? So why isn't the church serving the people? Why isn't there more community outreach programs and initiatives that are supporting the community when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to lack of food that's being provided for them in our modern day society, understanding how the economy is? Like, I'm not understand. I don't think it's difficult. I think God blesses the hands of his people, and I truly believe that the church is slacking on that. But hey, I'm looked at as like one of them Christians that's like super humanitarian. So let me just relax. But let me know what you think down below. Yeah. The concepts that I have brought up can even be boiled down to seeing people move away from the church and from Christ because of church hurt. And it's disappointing because it shouldn't be so. I believe that if you want to truly get the essence of Christ, the church has to be a part of it. But at the same time, the church needs to be rebuked for certain things that they have done to hurt mankind, to hurt the people as a whole, in my personal opinion, of course. I think you do Christianity a great disservice when you reduce Christ to the doing of the bride of Christ. When you go ahead to assess Christ based on what the church has done, you lose sight of the true essence of what Christianity is all about. Christ. Point blank, period. Stop. We're not moving. That's it. That's the pinnacle. That's the true essence. Christ himself. You understand? I think we understand each other. The question that was asked, who is to blame for the downfall of Christianity? And I would say boldly, it's the church. However, the blame is on all of our hands. The church has acted as an oppressor for centuries over the people they were supposed to look after, their flock. They were supposed to tend to the flock, watch over the flock, make sure that the flock is being guided properly. However, it turned into the opposite. And that's the problem. Because certain people were getting into the high places, were becoming the clergy, becoming the pastors, becoming the reverends, they didn't always have God's heart in mind when taking care of the people. They were being selfish in their own ways. They were looking out for themselves and not for the people they were meant to care for. With Christianity turning into an aesthetic and people listening and following the false teachings of the so-called people, religious leaders, and these leaders having a sense of pride and lust for the heart, or just the 7 deadly sins in general, it has led people astray and has made people come to the conclusion that the church is corrupt and they want nothing to do with the church. And that includes Christ as well. For us as a society and the church at large, I think we need to get to a place of patience and understanding and just peace. I know it's not easy. I'm not sitting here acting like it's super easy to have conversations when it comes to certain religious practices or traditions or just conversations that question other people's beliefs and morals. But understanding the fact that you don't always have to agree. 2 things can coexist at the same time. And allowing yourself to be an observer at times, allowing yourself to not always be commentating on everything, which is quite rich coming from a commentator, but allowing yourself to just come from a place of like, you know what, I'm here to learn. I'm here to understand a different perspective that's different from my own, but that doesn't mean that person's inherently wrong. That doesn't mean that person is inherently a bad person just because we don't understand the same things. I feel like when we get to a place where it's like, I may have my opinion, you may have your opinion, but I'm not holding power over you, I'm not making you feel less than, I'm not disrespecting you. That is when true conversation and true discussion over these things of the pain and the animosity and the issues in the past can really be resolved. I think that this conversation that we're starting here is leading to true healing, to be honest. But hey, I don't know. It's great to be, at the beginning, at the start of certain things. I'm joking. I'm not the start of nothing. I just wanted to have this conversation because, like, why not? All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for getting to the end of my video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Because honestly, this video was so time consuming. Oh my goodness. But it was so much fun to make, to be honest. Like, it hit close home for me in many different ways because I grew up Christian. I'm still Christian to this day, and like going ahead to bring pop culture and bring like what happens in modern day society into something that really relates close home for me means a lot. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. And our question for today is, what is a form of symbolism that you see in our society that you don't exactly agree with when it comes to religions or practices? I would say the color red. I think that we've demonized the color red way too much and think it is of the devil and everything like that. I think that that's not true. I don't think that's true inherently. I don't think so. Because I think that certain symbolisms in our society, we've used it to like connotate certain things that are not supposed to be that way. Like for instance, the color black. Because the color black was always demonized as something evil, as something dark, that is what translated into people seeing Black people the way they do in the past. And even to today, people still seeing Blackness as being something inherently evil, something inherently bad, when it really isn't. It's just the way that we have gone ahead to see the color because of, I guess, religious thinking and teachings. But yeah, the color black and the color red, I feel like they have bad PR. But let me know what you think down below. All right, y'all, it is your favorite frustrated creative, Sholay, signing out of this video. And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much, and you can do anything you set your mind to with Christ, of course. All right, y'all, peace.
You know what I'm talking about? Bring it back.